So let's talk about what is our topic tonight for late night crypto talk. The main topic is going to be about Coinbase, but there are a couple of articles we're going to cover before the Coinbase article. And I hope you guys are having a very good evening tonight. Taking some time out to listen to Bitcoin Brandon here as we get started. And just watch, very soon, I've been branding myself as Bitcoin Brandon, but I'm going to have my own merchandise coming out in a second. What's happening, Elaine? And you're going to see me, everything I wear is going to be Bitcoin Brandon stuff. Hats, shirts, all that good stuff. But take it to the next level. All right, so let's talk about some new information for today, Bitcoin news. And from this morning we had a very good talk. History was in the making. Bitcoin at some reached $12,000 a coin. But we talked about the retraction. When would the retraction happen, and how deep would it go? And I said this morning, if Bitcoin hits 13 to 14,000, that 10,000 is the new floor. If it does not hit that high, then it can dip below 10,000, probably down to at worst maybe $7,500, $8,000 per coin. So, what happened today? Well, let me put this link in the article. And I also said that when the retraction happens, the haters are going to come out and say, see, I told you. So, we're going to talk about that right now. And this article is titled, Bitcoin Price Flash Crashes to $10,075 as market goes berserk. All right, let's read this. The Bitcoin price plunged by more than $1,300 in minutes during a flash crash on Bitcoin exchange Bitfinex, but has since recovered above $10,800. At approximately 10:09 Eastern. 10:09 Eastern. Okay, I guess they mean this morning. The Bitcoin jumped to a 1 hour high of $11,399, which placed it just below the all-time high of $11,441. It actually got higher than that later on in the day. It had set it at 913. Now, apparently, after observing resistance at 11,500, a whale had set 11,400 as his or her target exit vector, because at 10:11 the candle turned red, and 3 minutes later this trader unleashed a massive market sell order. This sell order caused the Bitcoin price careen down to $10,075, representing a decline of $1,324 or 12% of Bitcoin's total value in just 4 minutes. For reference, the Bitcoin price did not even reach $1,324 until May of this year. Following the flash crash, the Bitcoin price quickly rebounded above $10,900, but it was unable to crack the $11,000 mark and quickly fell into decline. At 10:40 a.m., the Bitcoin price reached a bottom at $10,200. Not right now. Let me mute my phone so it will not be interrupted. All right. By the time of this writing, the Bitcoin price was once again trading near $11,000 on Bitfinex. What is it at right now? Let me hit the refresh on CoinMarketCap. It's at $10,621 as of right now. Now, part of the reason for Bitcoin's resilience, even as some traders have clearly begun to take profits from this week's parabolic movement, could be the news that Nasdaq, the world's second largest stock exchange, intends to list Bitcoin futures contracts by the second quarter of 2018. Bitcoin had already been trading up in anticipation of the launch of Bitcoin futures on Chicago-based CME, the world's largest derivatives exchange. CME's decision had been criticized by many prominent financial analysts, so the fact that Nasdaq will list this product signals that it will likely become a mainstream financial instrument sooner rather than later. The Nasdaq announcement also throws a wrinkle into the conventional wisdom that the Bitcoin price would see a correction following its ascent to $10,000, a psychologically significant, if arbitrary, barrier that many long-term investors have been anticipating for years. I said the same thing. I personally, I don't know when the real retraction will happen, because it will, only because the CME, like this article says, is throwing a wrinkle in that. The CME doesn't launch until December 11th. So we've got another 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks of maybe a rise in Bitcoin in anticipation of this. Which, how high can Bitcoin actually go until December 11th? That's the question. And then, when the CME launches on December 11th, how high will Bitcoin continue to rise after that, before the correction happens? You know, my partner Ramon says that's when it's going to drop. I say it's going to continue to rise for a couple of weeks, and then a correction will happen right before Christmas. So we'll see. The one thing that we know for sure is there will be a correction. How low it will go depends on how high it goes. But we think that 10,000 might be the new floor. And again, we can be completely, totally wrong, because things are happening much, much faster than anticipated. And we have the Agent Smiths of the system, the Captain Save a Bitcoins, the Negative Nancys from the banking world made a statement today. And this one is titled, "Investors Risk Buying Bitcoin at High Prices," ECB Vice President says. So let me put this link in the chat box here. What else do you expect? Whether it's low or high, they're going to say something negative. So let me read the first line on this. The Vice President of the European Central Bank has said that investors are taking a risk by buying Bitcoin at its high price. He said it's a very particular asset. It's a speculative asset by definition, looking to the developments in its price. Investors are taking that risk of buying at such high prices. All right, hold up right there. These clowns, you gotta know. It's like when Obama was president. The people against Obama, if Obama went left, they'd complain. If Obama went right, they'd complain. If he went forward, they would complain. If he went backwards, they would complain. There is no right way. If he said the sky was blue, they'd say no, it's not. So you know the bankers will never say anything positive when it comes to Bitcoin, because they see it as a threat. Now, when Bitcoin was like $100, $200, $300, $500, you know what they said? It's a bubble. Don't buy it. You're going to lose all your money. And now that it hit freaking $11,000, you know what they're saying? Well, don't buy it too high. It's too high. It's too risky now. Wait a minute, you said it was too risky back then. So no matter, understand, during the entire life cycle of Bitcoin, the bankers and the governments will not be favorable to it. So let's continue to read. What's his first name? Because I can't pronounce his last name. Let's see. Vitor. All right. Vitor's comments come at a time when the digital currency is experiencing a surge in value. Earlier today, it was reported that Bitcoin had risen to over $11,000, along with a rise in various altcoin prices. To date, the cryptocurrency has increased by over 1,000%, a colossal undertaking considering it was trading at $1,000 at the beginning of the year and has overcome numerous obstacles. Some, though, are still expecting great things from Bitcoin. Mike Novogratz, a billionaire investor and hedge fund manager, believes that it could easily rise to $40,000 by the end of 2018. Really? That is crazy. 40,000. I believe it now. If you told me this last week, I would have said no. Because last week, Bitcoin was what? $5,000, $6,000? I would have said, no, it's not going to reach 40,000 by the end of next year. But with the CME coming on board, the CBOE coming on board, the Nasdaq coming on board, the Man Group in the UK coming on board, with Bitcoin that's going to be on the Big Bang Theory with 12 million people hearing about Bitcoin for 30 minutes tomorrow for the very first time. With all that's happening, yeah, I'm a believer now. Because 2017 was record-breaking. And 2018, when the mainstream comes on, when the millionaires and billionaires with full of cash dump money into the system, it can't be, like Bill Gates said, Bitcoin can't be stopped. He added, there will be wild crashes in it, because you're going to get to levels so far ahead of where the technology's at. And what that means is people are going to sell to get those profits. That doesn't mean that it's the end of Bitcoin. That's just when you're going to hear the critics screaming the most. See, I told you it was a bubble. You know, when you pop a bubble, does a bubble refill itself? I've never seen that happen before. When a bubble pops, it pops. That's it. Bitcoin has already had 4 major crashes on its way up, and it will have many more, and it will continue to rise and bounce back. That's not a bubble. Maybe they want to come up with a new definition for that. But it goes on to state, central banks, though, have continually been reluctant to embrace the market. The ECB vice president said earlier this month that digital currencies will never replace the fiat system in your dreams, adding that they were a misnomer merely used as a speculative asset. At the time, he stated the so-called private cryptocurrencies can never prevail as general money substitutes. When you hear somebody say this, they're basically telling you they do not have a clear understanding of what Bitcoin is and why it was even in existence in the first place, why it was created. And those of you that's listening that still don't have a clue, let me inform you just very quickly. Bitcoin is a result of the 2008 financial crisis, where people trusted the banks, trusted the government, and the banking system and the government knowingly and willingly allowed a fraud with the mortgage system to continue going because everybody was making money. And they knew it was going to collapse. And when it collapsed, everybody lost their homes, lost their jobs, lost their 401k, lost their savings. They lost everything. And who got bailed out? Did you get bailed out? Did the government give you a check? No, the banks got bailed out. Businesses that were too big to fail got bailed out. Jamie Dimon got bailed out. He didn't go to jail for one of the biggest frauds in American history. They got fined, had to pay $13 billion back. He just got fined $2 billion last month for fraud. Yet they're going to sit here and tell us, oh, nobody's going to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a decentralized, peer-to-peer method of transmission, which means I don't need to go through the banks. I can control my own money. And that is why Bitcoin is going to survive and thrive, because the people want it. This is something the bankers can't understand because they don't care about what the people want. The people is not their interest. So you will always hear them continuously make statements like this because they don't understand why. So let me continue. Mario Draghi, the ECB president, has also spoken about the digital currency market, claiming that they aren't mature enough for the central bank to consider regulating them, yet you're talking about it. That's like Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon said, oh, well, Chase Bank, we move $6 trillion a day. Bitcoin at the time was only, the total market cap was about 120 billion. And he was like, what do we care about Bitcoin? It's only 120 billion total. Then why are you talking about it, Jamie? Why is it on your mind? Why you feel the need to try to kill it before it has had a chance to mature? You fear it. Goes on to say, not only that, but Constancio believes that central banks don't need to take the digital currency market seriously. During the interview, he said, in the sense that we don't have responsibility or even instruments that point to particular prices of particular assets, that is certainly not the role of central banks. Then why are you talking about it? The IMF has already made a bold statement on this, that they want to replace the US dollar and create their own digital currency as a new world reserve. Vladimir Putin has already made an order that Russia better have the crypto ruble in place by July of next year. United States is already getting prepared the Fed coin. Estonia is going to be using its own coin. And you're going to see this domino effect of governments trying to co-opt Bitcoin and the technology of blockchain to do exactly what Bitcoin was not designed to do. They want to centralize it. They want to control it. So they want to co-opt the technology to do the opposite of what it's designed to do. All right. So yet, regardless of the fact that the crypto market, in particular Bitcoin, have been criticized by various financial CEOs, it looks as though it has its foot firmly in the door and isn't going away anytime soon. Not only that, but we may be soon reading headlines that the combined crypto market has become more valuable than JP Morgan's. Oh, it will. It will. That's crazy. All right, let's get to the topic. What the hell is going on with Coinbase? Now, I said this morning. Coinbase right now is the largest exchange in the United States for people to gain access to Bitcoin, especially the beginners. Every American will need to have a Bitcoin wallet. In fact, everybody around the world will. And there's many choices out there. But with the market being so new, you guys are the early adapters. It's not like, depending on where you live, some exchanges are available to you and some are not. I was talking to Amos earlier today. He lives in Alaska. And the only exchange he has access to buy the Bitcoin really is Coinbase. Different parts of the United States, you've got many options. If you're in different countries, you're limited to certain exchanges. So right now, Coinbase is the largest. And they made news earlier this year for two reasons. The first reason is the IRS started looking at the numbers. And the IRS said, that's right, Christy, the only option. The IRS was like, wait a second. Between like 2013 and 2015, only like 845 people declared their Bitcoin earnings. Yet Coinbase has hundreds of thousands and now millions of accounts. We want our cut. We want our piece of the pie. What are people doing with the Bitcoin? So I don't know if you call it sued Coinbase, but they have an order against them to force Coinbase to give them access to accounts so that the IRS can track people who are purchasing Bitcoin and then track, what are you doing with your Bitcoin? Are you making money with it? Did you report taxes on it? So it's a huge thing. It's public privacy law. Does the government have a right to this information? We're going to get to that, Tanisha. 20,000K or more, because this is still developing. The second problem Coinbase has is that they have a monopoly. And when they have a monopoly, they can do stupid things that's not in our benefit. And I said it earlier today that back in May, when Bitcoin started having a rally and a dip, same with Ethereum, and a lot of trading was going on, you know what Coinbase did? All of a sudden, they didn't shut down, but they went under maintenance. Nobody can access their accounts. And it pissed people off because at a time when Bitcoin got high and people wanted to sell so that they could make a profit, Coinbase did not allow them to have access to the account. And then they didn't open it up again until the price went down again. So people missed out. So that pissed people off. So you don't want to be able to have Coinbase has a monopoly on this with your money. So let's read. There's two articles here. The first is Coinbase VP. Bitcoin price volatility would decrease with institutional capital. And then the second one we're going to get into is Coinbase ordered to report 14,355 users to the IRS. So let me put the link to this first one in the chat box. And then of course, I'm going to give you my commentary and my opinion. And before I even start, I want to state I am not a licensed legal financial analyst to give you financial advice. I am only sharing my opinion on the subject. Not that you should do whatever I say you should do. So I want to have that disclaimer out there. All right, so let's read this article here. Adam White, vice president of Coinbase Inc., tried to offer some perspective amidst the numerous claims about Bitcoin being a bubble, amidst the cryptocurrency breaking the $10,000 price point. White told Emily Chang of Bloomberg that he disputes the contention that Bitcoin is a bubble, although he acknowledged that the price is an easy metric for people to attack. He said the price is only one important quantitative indicator of Bitcoin's success. Other metrics matter. There is no law yet, Krista. The IRS is taking Coinbase to court in an attempt to gain access to all of their records. Think of it like this. Use Apple, for example. The iPhone. When a terrorist, the San Bernardino shootings, I live on the border between LA County and San Bernardino County. And when the shootings, the office shootings, how long ago was that? 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. And the shooter had an iPhone and it was locked up. And the government went to Apple to unlock the phone and Apple said no. You know, it's in our policy and procedures for privacy. And they went to court over this to try to jailbreak the phone. Can the government force private companies to give up their records on their customers? Now that's an ongoing thing right now. So that's what's happened with Coinbase. So let me continue here. Chang noted that the number of Coinbase accounts have tripled to 13 million in the last year alone. White said there were 5 million retail customers at the beginning of the year. Coinbase.com is the easiest way to get started buying and selling with a little bit of digital currency. He said, I agree. I still state that for beginners just getting started that don't know nothing, yeah, go ahead and set up a Coinbase account. Don't hold your Bitcoin there. You know, if you wanna buy a couple of Bitcoin, great. I've only purchased Bitcoin twice. Really purchased it twice. The first time was 1 year ago. It was beginning of November 2016. And I bought 3 Bitcoin and the price was around 700 something bucks. I sold those 3 Bitcoin in December for Christmas to pay for Christmas. when it was still less than $1,000 a coin. But that's the first time I bought it through Coinbase. The second time I bought was, you know what? Do I even want to share this right now? You know, I'm not going to say. I'm going to keep quiet on that. Anyways, what I like to do is earn Bitcoin, not buy Bitcoin. And I'm not going to put myself out there. So anyways, let's continue this. But for a beginner that wants to buy a couple of Bitcoin, yeah, Coinbase is a good way to at least get started. All right, so let me continue here. Coinbase has also looked at Bitcoin's utility, including how many people are using it and the daily transactional volume, White said. That happens separate from the price. And we're also seeing great growth in it, he said. Chang noted that the number of Coinbase's accounts have tripled to $13 million in the last year. 13 million? White said there were 5 million retail customers. Did I already read this part? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let me fast forward. All right, what about volatility? Question about Bitcoin's volatility. White said the volatility will not last. We are in the very early innings in the introduction of this technology right now, he said. White said he co-authored a paper with Chris Bruniski. Chris Bruniski, a partner at cryptocurrency-focused venture capital firm Placeholder and former cryptocurrency investment lead at ARK Investment, and examined the 2016 volatility of Bitcoin compared to other classes of assets. What we found was that Bitcoin was as volatile as both oil and less volatile than Twitter stock in the year 2016, he said. We're seeing volatility now. That's not a bad thing. More liquid markets with institutional capital entering the space is ultimately going to decrease the volatility and make digital currencies like Bitcoin a really viable financial instrument for the world. So in other words, what he's saying that with like the CME, the CBOE, Nasdaq, the Man Group, with all of this money and institutional investors coming in, it's going to kind of stabilize the swings, the wild swings of Bitcoin, because you're going to have people with far more money that's going to have their own buy and sell orders that everybody can see. So it's gonna stabilize it. We just saw today the flash crash happened because one whale had a huge sell order. One person did this, or a group or entity, but it was worth millions, multiple millions of dollars, and everybody could see it. So, oh, something's going on. I better sell as well. Caused that little panic, and then it came right back up. Now, since cryptocurrency is designed to be, we're not talking about mining, Jonathan. That's a whole other thing. Look, go to YouTube and type in what is cryptocurrency mining. But I'll say mining is the backbone of the entire blockchain. Without mining, nothing works. None of this works. That's not the topic tonight. It will be soon, because myself, Jairus Coleman, Peter Blackwell, yeah, we got something coming in December for mining. December 17th to be exact. But anyways, let's talk about the fact that Bitcoin is supposed to be anonymous. The only thing public about Bitcoin is your address. But your address does not have your name on it. So even though you're doing transactions out there and it's publicly seen, they don't know who it is. They can't track that. And even Monero even makes it even more anonymous. But by gaining access to Coinbase accounts, and they say, okay, we at least know that this is your Coinbase address. Where did you send Bitcoin to once you made it? Or we see that somebody sent you Bitcoin into your Coinbase account, and then you transferred it to your bank account. Where'd the money come from? Whose address does this? It opens up a can of worms. And the IRS may not be able to track that stuff now. But the way quantum technology with computers is growing, a couple of years from now, they may very well have the technology to be able to match up accounts with certain people if they dig deep hard enough. And if they do that, they can say, you know what, we went back on you and realized you made $2.5 million over the last 3 years and you didn't report any of that. You owe back taxes now. That's why I say on record, pay your damn taxes. Don't try to hide your money. If you're making a lot of money, you're making money anyway, do your part and report it. Pay your taxes. It will save you in the long run. It'll be far more cheaper to pay the taxes than to have to go through if the IRS figures all this stuff out and they come down on you. I am going to pay, this is being recorded, I am going to pay all my taxes. I want that to make sure that's public record. All right, let's get into this last article here. This one is Coinbase order to report 14,355 users to the IRS. All right, let me put this in the chat box. What about 2013 to 2015 years? I think that's going to be covered in this article. So let's read the article. Anyone moving more than $20,000 on the platform is subject to the new order. Who in the world is moving $20,000 on Coinbase platform? That's just plain stupid. I hate to say it, but come on now. You already got Poloniex, Bittrex, Gemini. You've got many different exchanges out there. You're going to move $20,000 on Coinbase? Let's keep going here. Today, Coinbase suffered a major defeat at the hands of the IRS nearly a year after the case was initially filed. This is important information because 99% of you guys have a Coinbase account. I have one. I do. I have multiple, you know, I'm not going to say what I have, what I'm using. But Coinbase suffered a major defeat. A California federal court has ordered Coinbase to turn over identifying records for all users who have bought, sold, sent, or received more than $20,000 through their accounts in a single year. All right, let me stop right there. If you think that you're safe because you haven't moved $20,000 in your accounts, you're wrong. Because this is starting, this is going to set a precedent. Here's what I know the IRS is going to do. Let's say you didn't move $20,000, but you get audited. And in the audit, they see that you've got a Bitcoin account. And they start asking you questions about it. Well, I only moved $500, really? How much money did you make off that $500? Because they're going to look at it as a currency, as a commodity. How much money did you make off that $500? Did you turn that $500 into $500,000? Where's that $500,000? Where'd you move the money to? Where is it? We show records that you used $500 of Coinbase bought Bitcoins, and your bank account, you've got like $3 million. Where'd the money come from? This is opening up a can of worms. Let me continue. Coinbase estimates, thank you, Asset. Coinbase estimates that 14,355 users meet the government requirements. The full order is embedded below. That sucks for those people because the government already knows like only 800 and something people reported taxes. For each account, the company has been asked to provide the IRS with the user's name, birth date, address, and taxpayer ID, along with records of all account activity and any associated account statement. I'm reading this very slowly here. I'm not going to go through this one fast. You got to know this. I'm going to say that one more time. For each account, The company has been asked to provide the IRS with the user's name, birth date, address, and taxpayer ID, along with records of all account activity and any associated account statements. Do you know what the IRS is going to be able to do once they get that information? They're going to create their own database, and they're going to tie that to your Coinbase address. Then they're going to look on the blockchain and see where your address pops up. They don't even need you to provide them with the information. It's all public. And they're going to track that down. They're going to say, wow, okay, money came or went from this source with this address, and we know who this address belongs to. What else? Okay, what did this new address do with the money? Who's this new company they sent it to? Let's take them to court and get their records. You see this never-ending slope here? This slippery slope? The result is both the definitive link. I'm reading again. The result is both the definitive link to the user's identity and a comprehensive record of everything they've done with their Coinbase account, including other accounts to which they've sent money. I just said that. The order is significantly narrower than the IRS's initial request. Yeah, see how the government works? The IRS didn't even ask for all that, but the government took it another step further. It's narrower than the IRS's initial request, which asked for records on every single Coinbase user over the same period. All right, well, at least that part's good, but that's only a matter of time. That request would also have required all communications between Coinbase and the user, a measure the judge ultimately found unnecessarily comprehensive. The government made no claim of suspicion against individual users yet, but instead argued that the order was justified based on the discrepancy between Coinbase users and U.S. citizens reporting Bitcoin gains to the IRS. Coinbase boasts nearly 6 million customers, but according to a government filing, fewer than 1,000 U.S. citizens have reported cryptocurrency holdings on their taxes. This ain't good. The ruling has already proven controversial in the Bitcoin world. We remain deeply unsatisfied with the lack of justification provided by the IRS, Coin Center's Peter Van Valkenburg told The Verge, without better rationale for why these specific transactions were suspect. A similarly sweeping request could be made for customer data from any financial institution. It sets a bad precedent for financial privacy. And I agree. Coinbase had vigorously opposed the order on similar grounds. We were proud to appear in court today to continue to fight against what we believe to be government overreach. Coinbase's David Farmer wrote after a hearing earlier this month, "In the future, we hope to work with the IRS to establish a reasonable tax reporting method that makes sense for virtual currency service providers and consumers alike." Coinbase did not respond to a request for comment. All right, so what do I think about this? What I think is that Coinbase has a monopoly right now. So it's forcing a lot of people to have to create a Coinbase account to gain access to Bitcoin for the very first time. I can't give it advice. What I will say is Coinbase is not the only exchange. You do not have to use Coinbase. If you are not worried or concerned at all about reporting your earnings to the IRS and paying your taxes, then you have nothing to worry about. But there are other concerns here. And it's not just about the ability to pay taxes. It's about privacy. It's about the government knowing what you're doing with your money. the one benefit that fiat currency has by giving you access to where you can pull cash out of the bank is once you've pulled the cash out of your bank, the government has no idea what you're doing with your cash. See, when you use your debit card, it's trackable. But when you have cash, the government cannot track you on that, which is another reason why they will go to a cashless society and introduce the Fed coin. And when that happens, they can prevent you from saying, you know what, your last medical report showed that, you have diabetes or you have high blood pressure. And so we're going to prevent you from using your Fed coin to buy products that's going to give you more high blood pressure. It's already happening now with those that's on the welfare system or state assistance, where they're saying, you know what, we're going to prevent you from buying certain items with your welfare check. We're gonna decide for you where you can buy. You are I'm not defending anything at all, but let's just say you're a criminal. Let's say we don't want you to have access to be able to certain websites that promote violence because you have a tendency to be violent. You have a violent past. We don't want to give you access to your favorite porn sites anymore. You can't use your Fed coin to get that stuff. Do you guys understand? Oh, somebody said, well, don't touch my porn. I need my porn more than my guns. You see where this is going? It's more about privacy than the IRS. Because now they're going to know what you're doing with your money. Their biggest issue with Bitcoin is that they can't control it. It's anonymous. So as much control that they can have, they want to have from you. So all I'm going to say, because I don't want in the future nothing coming back that I'm some kind of revolutionary or anarchist, I'm causing controversy against the government. All I'm going to say is report your earnings and pay your taxes, and that there are other alternatives to Coinbase to get your money. And there are other ways of moving money around without even having to use Bitcoin that are more anonymous than Bitcoin, like Monero, for example. So I just want to state that out there. I'm also, especially in 2018, I'm going to be very cognizant of what I say publicly and what's being recorded. Also, talking about my own success in Bitcoin is going to come to a screeching halt when I reach certain figures. You're not going to know what the hell I got. This ain't MLM where you got to go out there and flash your new house, your car. You want to show your bank account, how many Bitcoins you got. Talk about that you're a Bitcoin millionaire. You don't need to do that. Not in this space. You heard what happened to that dude in Europe. He got 4.3 or something million dollars in Bitcoin stolen because he got kidnapped. He was on social media flossing. Had like 8 cars, and we're not talking about your Hondas, Bentleys, Lambos, and Ferraris lined up in front of his multi-million-dollar mansion, and they picked his ass up off the street. Gangsters. And they made him drain his account. I doubt they'll ever get that. He'll never get that money back. Even though the people who did it got arrested. What? You going to try to force them to give up the keys? That money's been moved around so much by now. They're never going to get it. So you got to be careful about what you say, what you share on social media. I won't even talk publicly about what programs I'm a part of. I'm strictly will talk about the industry, news on the industry, and only privately about things that I might be involved in for people who want to ask. And I make no bones about it. I am in this space to become a Bitcoin millionaire. And I fully intend on paying all my taxes while I'm on that ride. That's my public statement on that matter. So be careful out there, guys. This is a new space. It's uncharted territory. Let's have a whole lot of fun in the same process. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Depending on what happens overnight, it seems every time I close my eyes, records are being shattered. So we'll see what news pops over the next 12 hours till tomorrow morning. Bitcoin Brandon out. See you all tomorrow.